Joined by head coach of the South Plains College Texans, Coach Steve Green, joins us after a little Thanksgiving trip to Plano. You end up splitting the pair out there in the Thanksgiving Classic. Let's talk a little bit about basketball over the weekend. A rough second half for you in Game 1 out there in Plano.
Well, it was really a rough 40 minutes for us, to be honest with you, against a pretty good team. I do feel like that we put ourselves in a situation to both win the game and then for dadgum sure to lose the game. But we are a major, and I mean capital M AJOR, work in progress, and we just don't have we don't have the camaraderie, that on the floor at any given time that can allow you to sustain stuff, and we're working on it. I mean, we've tried to do a lot of different things. We've run in a bunch of different lineups and things of that sort, but we can't sustain it very long. Some of the teams that we've played a decent schedule, I think, which is good in that it's revealed to us what our deficiencies are, but we to this point we're having a difficult time correcting it. I think some of them.
I guess that really kind of becomes the magic of junior college basketball, if such a thing exists. Is you're not going to get guys for 3 or 4 years. If you do, something's incredibly wrong. You get them for 2. Sometimes you get them for 1, and that means gelling a team together has to happen relatively quickly, especially with conference play starting as early as it does.
Yeah, well, it's usually one player that starts it, and somebody that's very team-oriented, very very unselfish, what have you, and then it spreads, and we just haven't had that, and for whatever reason, we have guys that have been more attuned to maybe being the basket scorers on their previous teams and what have you, and right now they're just having a difficult time trying to figure out how they can help other people be better. And then you get yourself in a funk, and you start putting all this pressure on yourself, to make a shot, and when the thing that you should do is maybe one time dive on the floor and pick up a loose ball, or get some things that any person can do, and develop some pride and some motivation to go ahead and then do something as a result of that. But we're so concentrated, I think, on, man, I hope my next shot goes in, or I can't wait to shoot the ball to see if I'm hot today, or things of that sort. So we're just looking at it backwards, in my opinion. And as a coaching staff, we're looking at it the other way. So it's like we're reading 2 different books, and we'll eventually win out. They may never quite read the book, but that will be the one that we continue to go to all the way through March.
Force feed the cliff notes or the pictures or whatever it takes until they get it figured out.
Yeah, that's been my history. Yeah.
Well, as you mentioned, I think you played a pretty good schedule here to start off non-conference basketball.
Yeah, we're not playing JV teams and things of that sort. It doesn't do, in my opinion, it doesn't do any good. And I thought we were going to be much better at this time, because I still say we have really good players, but we don't exactly just coexist, quite as much. We've had spurts of it, no question, but 40 minutes has been about 8 to 10 minutes too long for us, in the 3 games that we've lost. So we shuffled our lineup around the other day, and put some different guys out there and what have you, just to try to make a point. And it worked a little bit. I mean, we really had a good second half. I don't think Murray State's very good, but we had a 28-26 lead at half, which was kind of discouraging. But then I think we did score, 45 or 50 points a second half, something like that. And it was never really a contest, I don't think. But it's still, it just feels, I mean, I've come up with all sorts of words that start with D: dysfunctional, disjointed, disappointing, this season. So, but we're still looking at it, and trying to figure out how we can utilize some of our players maybe in a little bit better situation than they're in.
Well, I said the great thing about the way you guys recruit, though, and the talent you get gives the opportunity to mix things up. There's some coaches out there, they're going to get the 5, 6, 7, whatever they've got to put on the floor and may not be real comfortable going much past that. There's a lot of individual talent on this team that you can move the pieces around and try to figure out how to plug it all together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like you may have LeBron on your team, but if you've got 4 other guys that are not very good or can't play with LeBron, or he won't pass the ball to them, or things like that, you're going to struggle. And I call it flatlining. If you look at our stats this year, we're 5-3, and but going into this past game, I mean, our rebound totals are about the same as our opponents. Our shooting percentage is about the same as our opponent. So there's no separation. A team that goes 32-2, numbers are stacked, against your opponents, and this year they're very, very close. They're very close, and stats don't lie. I mean, I know, players have this unique ability somehow to, to hide. I mean, use stats in their favor, but the scoreboard doesn't lie. I mean, it tells you what you are. You are your record, and we are 5-3. So.
Well, now the adjustment time is starting to end quickly, because conference seems like starts earlier and early every year. Now you go to Midland for a Wednesday basketball game, and things have to start clicking together pretty quick now.
Well, they certainly do, because these next 2 games are the most important games of the season, and as far as if you want to extend your basketball life this year, and going on the road to play Midland, new coach, a different style of playing. I've watched some film on them. They're not going to be fun to try to guard. They're not overly blessed with great players. He got in late, and put together a team, but they started off kind of slow, but now they're looking like they're kind of beginning to figure some things out, and they got, they're kind of small. They've got a bunch of guards running around out there, which presents some issues for us, what have you. But play them, and then we have to come home and play Frank Phillips on Saturday, who usually comes in and zones us, and we've struggled a little bit against the zone. So, it's I don't know. It's why we play the games, I guess. I don't know. I'm hoping that we did something this second half against Murray State that will carry over into today's Monday and Tuesday's practices before we get on the bus and go down to Midland on Wednesday.
As you mentioned, 2 very big basketball games, because you can come through this stretch 2-0, 1-1, 0-2. And then you have to sit with whatever that is for a couple of 3 weeks of break before you go to Arizona.
Is there another option?
That's the option. Those are the options.
That's it. Okay.
And unfortunately, 2 of those probably don't sit very well.
What about influenza or something like that?
I'm not sure that's going to be on that's not going to figure in on the scorecard. But.
No, we play those 2 and then we're off, and then we go out and play. I put ourselves in a what I think is probably the best junior college tournament in the country. In preparation for the second half of the conference, and should we go to the regional, and should we go to the national tournament, we will have played against very, very good people already. So the schedule doesn't get any easier. I'm not apologizing for that. The schedule, your competition reveals who you are, and we need to take a good long look at who we are at this particular point. Are we comfortable with this, and or are we beginning to get uncomfortable? And I think that, when we changed the lineup around the other day, we didn't necessarily start our best players, but we started guys that were not producing. Or we took guys that were producing out of the lineup and then put them in at different points of the game. You got to do something, to change things, or I tell them all the time, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. And we're flatlined. And I don't really want to be flatlined. I'd rather be standing upright. So that's what lies in front of us, So
There you go.
hey,
Onward and upward, as it were.
it's all fun.
There
It's all
you go.
fun.
Coach Same's out of time for this one. Any final thoughts for us before we current conference play?
No, we
this
got.
week?
Like I said, we have one more week to play the two most important games of the season, and we will see what this first 8 games is, what we've learned from our first 8 games.
All right, Coach. Appreciate your time as
All right.
always. Thanks for taking time out to visit with us. Look forward to seeing you at Midland on Wednesday.
Absolutely.
That's Coach Steve Green here at South Plains College. Michael Weist, KLVT Level and KLVTRadio.com and SPCTexans.com.